Welcome back to the channel. Today we're diving into one of the most exciting matchups we've ever filmed, the brand new Lamborghini Revuelto facing off against a pair of heavily tuned, 1000 plus horsepower BMWs. These cars come from completely different worlds, and that's exactly why this comparison matters. The Revuelto is Lamborghini's first ever high-performance hybrid V12. It arrived in the US market as a statement piece. Electrification doesn't have to mean quiet, sensible, or even remotely polite. It's the replacement for the Aventador, one of the most iconic V12 platforms in modern car culture. So for Lamborghini fans, especially viewers here in the States, this car isn't just a model, it's the brand proving it still knows how to build something absolutely outrageous. On the other side, we've got the BMWs. Not showroom cars, but tuned machines running four-figure power. These represent the opposite philosophy.
This is the heart of the beast.
Don't buy a hypercar, build one. And in the US, that idea resonates strongly. The tuner scene is massive here, and with the right shop, a regular BMW becomes a runway missile. So, why does this comparison matter now? Because the American performance car audience sits right at the crossroads of factory engineering and aftermarket creativity. Hybrid hypercars are getting faster, but tuned ICE monsters refuse to step aside. Putting them head-to-head in a drag race isn't just entertainment. It's a snapshot of where performance culture is headed in the 2020s. Detailed breakdown. Let's dig into what makes these machines so different, starting with the Lamborghini Revuelto. This thing is a rolling science experiment, but in a good way. Power comes from a brand new 6.5-liter naturally aspirated V12 paired with 3 electric motors, one up front and 2 in the gearbox. Total output lands around 1001 horsepower. That's hypercar territory, yet the car still sounds like a traditional Lamborghini, loud, sharp, and full of personality. On the outside, the Revuelto looks like Lamborghini folded stealth fighter geometry into supercar proportions. The front sits low and aggressive, the LED signature is razor clean, and the body has deep, carved channels for airflow. In person, the car feels like it warps space around it. Everything is functional, from the active aero to the massive rear diffuser that looks like it could vacuum the pavement. Inside, the Revuelto embraces modern Lamborghini design, a digital cockpit, bright color accents, sharp lines, and a surprisingly roomy cabin. The infotainment system is finally intuitive, with Apple CarPlay and Android Auto fully supported. Lamborghini also added a passenger display, so whoever sits next to you can watch the revs climb while you try not to scare them. Technology is everywhere: torque vectoring, a new e-gearbox, several hybrid modes, and a battery pack that adds instant torque off the line. Safety systems are more advanced than previous models, with lane assist, adaptive cruise, and improved stability control. Not typical hypercar stuff, but welcome for anyone driving it daily. On to the BMWs. These tuned machines vary depending on the build, but 1000 horsepower usually means upgraded turbos, high-flow fueling, forged internals, and a transmission tune that lets the car handle absurd levels of torque. BMW platforms like the M5, M3, or even M8 respond extremely well to tuning, and that's why these cars show up to races with power levels that rival six-figure exotics. Visually, most tuned BMWs keep a sleeper vibe. You might see a lower stance, a carbon lip, maybe a more open exhaust. But nothing looks extreme until you hear the turbo spool or the wastegate chatter. Inside, they feel familiar: comfortable seats, large screens, plenty of space, and the typical BMW driver focus layout. Where the BMWs shine is performance per dollar. For a fraction of the Revuelto's price, these cars put down ludicrous straight-line power. Launch control setups vary, but modern BMW xDrive systems grip like tire-clawed spiders, especially when tuned properly. Pricing is the biggest gap here. The Revuelto starts around $600,000 and easily climbs depending on options. A tuned BMW pushing 1000 horsepower often starts with a $70,000 to $140,000 base car plus another $10,000 to $30,000 in mods. Two wildly different approaches to speed, and yet the drag race between them is surprisingly close. Let's talk strengths first. The Revuelto's most impressive feature is its launch. The hybrid system fills in the V12's low-end gap perfectly, giving the car a forceful shove from a standstill. That instant torque combined with Lamborghini's latest traction systems makes the Revuelto feel like it's glued to the planet. Add the naturally aspirated V12 screaming its heart out as the electric motors push in silence, and you get a power blend that feels unnatural in the best possible way. Another highlight is the build quality. Every part of the Revuelto feels premium and intentionally crafted. This isn't just performance, it's theater, with the cabin acting like a control room for small earthquakes. Now the BMWs. Their biggest strength is raw, outrageous power. Tuners can push these engines far beyond factory limits, and the result is acceleration that feels almost comedic. When the turbos spool, they hit like a freight train made of caffeine and questionable decisions. The second major advantage is value. Creating a 1,000 horsepower BMW costs dramatically less than buying a Revuelto, and maintenance is usually cheaper too. But each car has drawbacks. The Revuelto, despite being incredible, is expensive enough to make your wallet sweat just thinking about it. The hybrid tech also adds complexity, which means maintenance costs will be high. As for the BMWs, their biggest weakness is consistency. Tuned cars can be temperamental, heat soak, traction issues, or even minor tune variations can affect